Okay, thank you, Jim. War can be a very trying but very satisfying affair. Not satisfying in the way that a young soldier's first German woman is satisfying, but satisfying in a more death-defying way, full of daring-do which ne'er-do-wells excel at. I remember a number of instances in which my early manhood was tested. For instance, in a Turkish brothel by women with what I swore were fangs. But none so completely and formidably tested my mettle as the Battle of the Rodan. It was early morning in the early winter of '44. General Patton was slogging his way up through Sicily. The rest of us had just landed in Normandy and were preparing for a long defensive war. It had been long believed by the officers and higher-ups that the Germans were planning an attack using the occult. It had been long anticipated by those military watchers in the know who studied the coded messages that were sometimes placed in Wagner's operas. It was destined to be. On that early morning, I nearly ejaculated into my canteen after what I saw. What appeared on the horizon stunned and astonished nearly every country boy and every inner city youth from the neighborhood. At 0600, or exactly 22 minutes after dawn, since 22 was the numerical depiction of the swastika, nearly 100 winged midgets carrying flamethrowers and javelins appeared on the horizon. At first we thought the Germans were testing a new kind of silent glider, but very quickly the glint off of their helmets, which were all pointed directly at us, forced us to look closer, and it was then that we saw their angry, tiny faces. It was very difficult to shoot them out of the air. They were already upon us before we had time to point our rifles, and our heavy weaponry did no good. Their wings, which were pliable and nearly like rubber, gave them an extraordinary ability to lift directly up in the air, 50 or 100 feet at a burst. They set us ordinary soldiers on fire, sometimes launching their javelins first to pin us down, then turn us into Roman candles. Their attack went on for several minutes, but it seemed like an endless eternity. When the kerosene that fueled their flamethrowers ran out, they took to picking up soldiers, climbing high into the air and dropping them. At this treatment, our jaws nearly burst with outrage. Finally, the answer came when our camp engineer, who was called Shields, rigged up a line of wreckage of burned up jeeps and army trucks into a giant horizontal Tesla coil. It was a forerunner to the bug zapper of later days. Shrieking midgets were burned out of the air like so many fat, mean-spirited butterflies. Victory was ours. When it was over, we erected a small pyramid made of their tiny helmets. Toodaloo.